everybody, welcome to Corrections for the week of May 24th. We changed the title card again. We've been trying to find the right way to describe this, and it is now an online inclusive. We were told, it's not really that exclusive, anybody can watch it, but it's very inclusive in that we are responding pretty much to we've invited all of you to participate. All you need is an internet connection and a total lack of boundaries, and here we are. Also, I like this. A lot of the comments, people are saying, are you okay? You seem aggressive. I really genuinely like this. I mean, the fact that week in and week out, I can make myself better with your help means a great deal to me. So I'm sorry if it ever comes across that I am angry in any way, shape, or form in responding to your feedback. So last week I talked about the fact that I sometimes say that is the definition of, and it was pointed out to me that I should say that is the epitome of. And then I said to make a correction like that is the epitome of pedantic. And then a lot of you said it's actually the epitome of pedantry because it has to be a noun. And I just want to say thank you. And also that I'm so impressed you jackals can type in with your little jackal paws. I mean, to make a correction, to be called pedantic, and then say, it's actually pedantry, that would be like, it'd be like getting on an airplane and a guy taking off his shoes and putting his socks on the tray table, and you saying, hey man, I don't want to look at your socks, and then he just looks at you and just peels the socks off. Oh, I said we had a crocodile smoke a vape pen. A lot of people said you don't smoke a vape pen, you vape a vape pen. Or to put it more succinctly, you look ridiculous. And look, I'm just worried that teens are going to start vaping more because of Mayor of Easttown. Because everybody wants to be mayor. Solving murders, vaping their vape pens and making eyes at Guy Pearce. This one I feel bad about. I said shaman when it's shaman. And what makes it worse is my staff has tried to correct me on this in the past. And I continue to get it wrong. So shaman me. That was a joke somebody made in corrections. But because I'm a dad, I'm legally allowed to steal that joke. I talked about our photographer, Lloyd, who's Scottish. And, I talked like him. I used his voice, and someone said that Scottish accent is an abomination, which is what we tell him every day. Like, we know. Because I've heard regular Scottish people, and Lloyd ain't that. We'll say, Lloyd, can you get some, pictures of the guests? I don't have my camera. Nobody told me. We're like, why do we? This might be a trap, but I think it's true. I had multiple Canadian viewers told me that Canadians don't say Toronto, they say Toronto. Like you don't hear the second T. And I believe they were Canadians because they were in their correction, they were very apologetic about even bringing it up. I said Kroger's. It's Kroger. I said Kroger's on purpose, just to with you. Hey, we did it tonight in the show. I did Werner Herzog, and a lot of people said my Werner Herzog is Christoph Waltz. Nonsense. You know, look, it's not the best Werner Herzog in the world, but Werner Herzog would say of corrections, it is a man's desperate attempt, whereas Christoph Waltz would be like, corrections, it's time to begin. It's like enthusiasm. Here we go. Number one. And other people said my Herzog sounded like John Malkovich, which is equally offensive to me, because John Malkovich is here. It's up here. It's very different. And to say that I sound like Werner Herzog is an idea that I deign not entertain, sir. This isn't a correction at all. This is a story about John Malkovich. So maybe could we make a title card? It will say celebrity anecdote in the body of corrections. And could we just make that and add it in post? So thank you. So John Malkovich hosts SNL, 2008, and he was in a sketch. There was a sketch that was written where it was a lost Judy Blume novel. And he was a character in a Judy Blume novel, and his outfit was a pink turtleneck and pink overalls. And on Friday, he had to take a photo shoot for it, and so he wore it for the photo shoot, and then he just kept it on all day because he said it was super comfortable. So already, greatest day of my life, John Malkovich, spending time with him, already the best, and he's wearing a pink turtleneck and pink overalls. And then I said to him, what did you do last night? And he said to me, I was supposed to meet a friend for dinner, but they canceled, and so I ate alone, and to pass the time, I tried to think of the name of every film I'd ever appeared in. And the 65th film I thought of was Being John Malkovich. And you'd think it would have been earlier. And then can we just do a title card that says, this has been Celebrity Anecdote in the Body of Corrections? And thank you for turning those around so quickly. Oh, this is embarrassing. We were talking about how calculators, back in the day, on calculators, you could spell out boobs if you typed 80085. A lot of people pointed out to me that what you would actually do is 58008 and then turn it upside down. Because that was the reveal that made it titillating. It was like, as a teenage boy, you'd be like, that's just numbers. And then you'd be like, auga. Because we didn't have the internet, fellas. we had to get it where we could. And if the teacher came over, she's like, what are you boys doing? We're like, just the 80,000s. Oh, this is a correction for a waiter I had last night. So last week, was it last week that you were on the show, Wally? Yeah. So last week, Action Bronson, who we love, canceled. We did not have time. This makes it seem like we didn't have time, so we had to, but we were very happy. We said, you know what? Because it was very late, we said, we'll have Cue Card Wally as a guest, and it was genuinely great. And I got a ton of feedback from people who enjoyed listening to Wally tell the stories. And then last night, I'm at dinner, and my waiter walks over and said, hey, tell Cue Card Willie we love him here. And I said, you bet I will. Oh, this is a very similar criticism that Mikey the Shoe sounds like Tony the Fauci, which is Tony Fauci, Anthony Fauci, Dr. Fauci, because he's from Brooklyn, but they're very different. Tony the Fauci is, first of all, beloved. So when he goes back to Brooklyn, he's like, hey, Tony the Fauci, it's the summer of the Fauci. And people are like, hey, Tony, can I take my mask off? He's like, you can take it all off for all I care. They were like, Tony, give me your number. You want my number? 58008, upside down. Whereas Mikey the Shoe, you know, he's from the Bronx. He goes back there. They're like, get out of here. He's like, oh, you're just mad at me because I made it out. And they're like, you still live here. And he's like, yeah, but I went to Manhattan today and then I came home. And they're like, that's not making, you commute. Somebody said to me that I said this is a perfect quote, and quote is the verb, and quotation, I should say, this is the perfect quotation. I looked it up, and it turns out the way I did it is also fine. So that's not necessarily a correction. That's just an example of the I have to put up with. Another thing is people said, sometimes these don't feel like corrections. Someone said, you know, you should start calling it justifications. And I'm going to keep calling it corrections, but you can call it whatever you want. Guys, I like this. This makes me happy. And I feel like I drifted away from the joy part. But we're about to go on a week's hiatus. And I just want to let all of you know that I will spend that time with my wife, and there will be corrections every day.